So you want to be a music teacher? Are you sure about that? Well, if you really are, this is a place for you. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Peace. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy J Lil with the skills, aka the 704 Maestro, aka the musical assassin, aka whatever you want to call me. Today's video is going to be music about more. It's going to be centered around music. I am a music educator. I am a music teacher. I've taught middle, high school. I've worked with college bands. I've worked with elementary school kids. So pretty much worked in every area that you could possibly work in. So this video is for those people who really want to be a music educator, or you're thinking about pursuing a job as being a music educator. Let's first start off with what you need to do to become a music educator. One, you need to go to college and major in music. Nowadays you don't really have to have a degree in music education to teach music, so long as you have a bachelor's degree in some form of music. Most school systems will still allow you to teach for a certain amount of time, and that is the big thing about that. But once you first decide to be a music major, you choose which school you decide to go to, you guys have to do your research on that, because you have to understand that not every music program is designed to the same way, and not every music program is going to teach the same stuff, because they may not have the education portion of the degree at that school. Meaning some schools have a music education major, some schools have a degree in music to where you can get a licensure in education, so you basically have a music education license when you graduate, and some schools just have a degree in music, in general music, a bachelor's of arts in music, with no type of education courses attached to it. Now with that being said, that is going to really set you up for what you're going to have to do after graduation. So those who decide to go to a school that has a full live music education program, you guys will probably 9 times out of 10 learn all your music theories, take different piano courses, maybe some you should take like an electronic music course or a music technology course. You should do education courses such as psychology of education and education in elementary education, music education in elementary schools, and you should do some form of student teaching as well before you graduate. And most of those schools that do offer a full live music education degree and the student teaching will also require you to either A, have taken the Praxis 2 exam, which is the exam you need to be fully certified as a music teacher, or you have to actually take and pass that same exam in order to graduate. Now with that being said, a lot of schools that do have the music education program, they also have like a music business program or a music production program. That is really for those who don't want to go into teaching, but those of you who have been music educators or music education majors for like 4 years, 5 years, this may be your 6th year, and yes, that is not unheard of. And your only thing is really holding you back is passing the exam or the Praxis 2 exam. What some schools may do is switch your major, because you've taken all the major requirements to all the major courses required to finish your degree in music business or music production rather than music education, because you haven't passed that test. So if you are one of those students and you're in a music education school and you have a music education degree, that may be an option for you if you don't want to stick around and wait to graduate because you have to pass that test. Now there are schools that don't have a music education degree and you have just a degree in music. Now there's some pros and cons to that as well. The pro is you can actually finish your degree a lot quicker. But sometimes those programs don't offer you what you need to know as a music educator, meaning you may not have to take a music methods class. As a music education major, the methods classes are like your brass class or your woodwind class, where you learn how to play every instrument that you're going to have to teach in the K-12 education system. Certain schools don't offer that. You may have a degree in music, but you've never touched a trumpet a day in your life. You may have a degree in music, but they've never showed you the fingerings to a clarinet. You don't know how to transpose a trumpet part from a trombone part. You wouldn't know how to do those little things. Yes, you may be knowledgeable in theory and things like that, and you may be great at your horn, but if you cannot teach another kid how to properly play their instrument, then what are you doing? The problem with a lot of those schools also is you don't have to take the education courses that are required to have a degree in music education, and you don't have to take a lot of those methods classes, and you don't have to, a lot of them don't have student teaching. So one, you'll have a problem passing the practices exam. Two, because your degree is in music, 9 times out of 10, if it doesn't have a license attached to it, you may have between 1 and 3 years to obtain your teaching license and pass the test. Sometimes they may require you to do that within 1 year, which is a lot of work. I know with me, I had my degree in music education, or I had a degree in music with a licensure in education. I just had not passed the Praxis 2 exam, so I had 3 years of teaching before I had to pass that Praxis exam. And then I was able to do a certificate for a year to extend me when I was in Memphis. When I was in Shelby County Schools in Memphis, Tennessee, I was teaching out there. They extended me for 1 more year, and I did eventually pass my test, my 4th year teaching. So I am a certified music teacher, fully certified. So the first thing, you guys, back to it, you need to figure out what school you want to go to. Do they have a music education degree, or do they just have a music degree? Do they require you to pass the Praxis before you graduate, or do you have to just take it to Praxis 2 to graduate? These are some of the main things you really need to know before you really either decide to be a music major, or before you choose which school you want to go to be a music major. After you've taken all your classes, you've taken all your courses, the biggest thing you have to pass is that exam, the Praxis 2 exam. That is a make or break exam. That is the hardest thing, period, about being a music educator. When you're in school, the theory is hard, but if you are really in love with music and this is something that you really want to do, you will sit down and you will understand your craft. You will try to at least understand the basics of theory to at least pass the class. Now, am I going to use Theory 4 in high school class? No. Have I ever had to taught anything I learned in Theory 4 to the students? No. But Theory 1 and Theory 2 you definitely will need to know in order to teach really middle school and some high school, basic levels of high school music. But once you have certain students that can progress past the basics, you will start to introduce some of that Theory 3 and Theory 4 stuff to them, as far as scales, modes, how to actually analyze music, different chord structures, different things in compositions, seeing if they can compose music, different things like that. That's when you really use Theory 4 and Theory 3. The other big thing is, if you're not proficient on piano, I would advise you to take your piano class very, very, very seriously. Your piano class, I didn't take it seriously, honestly. I didn't take it seriously, and now now that I look back at it, I play the piano more than I actually play my primary instrument, which is the euphonium or baritone. I don't play that at all. When I did play it, it was during class sometimes to help the baritone player. Otherwise, I would play whatever instrument that student needed help with. So if I had a saxophone player needing help, I would play the saxophone with that saxophone player. I've never been one of those educators or one of those teachers to just pick one instrument and teach everybody off that one instrument. So I would not be one of those guys that were doing a lot of the playing the trumpet, or and you play the clarinet and I'm reading the stuff. I'm trying to get you to transpose stuff with me. Or I play the trombone and I'm trying to get you to transpose your music based off what I'm doing. Otherwise than that, when it comes to the teaching, I highly recommend that you go to a school that's going to allow you to do student teaching. Classroom experience or time in the classroom is the best teacher as far as a music educator that you can have, because these books can tell you how to deal with the students and tell you all these classroom management skills, but you don't really learn how to use those skills or implement anything until you get into the classroom. So I would advise you to make sure you go to a reputable school that has a reputable music program and is known for graduating music education. If you found the school that you really want to go to, just take everything else I've said into account. Make sure you go to all your classes. Make sure you do your theory work, study your theory. Make sure if you have methods classes, make sure you really take those methods classes seriously. Make sure you take your piano class seriously. That's going to help you a lot. Student teaching is definitely going to help a lot. Student teaching, oh my God, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you did not do student teaching or have any type of student teaching or any type of classroom experience, it's going to be hard for you to be a teacher. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Regardless of what subject you teach, math, science, English, foreign language, whatever, if you do not have classroom experience before graduation or any type of classroom experience, you're going to feel lost, you're going to feel helpless, because those kids will work your last nerve. A lot of them, they really will try to get you to quit because they don't want to do your work. Alright, it's not that they don't like music, it's not like they don't like math, it's just they don't want to do the work. And if they ain't got to do the work, and then the best way to do it, is get rid of the teacher, they're going to do that. So I would advise you to, if you can volunteer during marching season with the program, if you can volunteer during concert season with a program, if you get to volunteer anytime with the program, volunteer. And also, those guys, I'm not bashing you guys. This is not to bash you guys. This is, what I'm about to say is cautionary tales. Those of you who are like arranging music and giving it to your college marching band, you have to be careful with that, because if you really aren't using your music theory and your knowledge of voicing and arranging and ranges of the actual instrument, when you actually try to apply what you gave to college students who've been playing since they were 10, 12, 13 years old, who know what they're doing, if you try to give that same music to a 8th grade beginning band, they're not going to be able to play it. Sometimes if you give that same music to a high school program, they're not going to be able to play it, because these students are all on different levels musically as far as understanding. You may have kids, say you have wrote music for your college and every time you write it sounds good, you do great. When you get to a high school and your first job is to teach this kid how to play an instrument, if this kid can't play Mary Had a Little Lamb, there's no reason for you to put triplets on the page, because you're going to eventually start teaching by rote, which means you're telling them what to play and they're mimicking what you're telling them to do, rather than them having an understanding of how to read and analyze and actually understand the notation of music. So I would advise you to do what you do, but make sure you understand how to make it simple for children to be able to play as well. So yeah, you can have a great arrangement, but if you want your high school to play it and you have a bunch of brand new, this is my first time playing my instrument band, you know you can't give them high B flats or high C's anything too far above the staff, you don't expect them to blow the paint off the instrument. Okay? Don't. Now, on the flip side, there will be times where you will have students that can blow the paint off, blow the lacquer off the entire instrument, but can't read quarter notes or half notes to save their life. Can't tell you what note they're playing. Can't tell you what key they're in. But they can play something like a torture. Okay? They can play Get Ready. They can play tunes that they've heard before and someone has shown them how to play. Alright? But if you put that same exact piece of music in their face, they're going to look at you like you're stupid and they're going to say, I can't read this. And then what happens is now you have to completely start over from scratch and try to make stuff that's relevant, that's very easy to this kid, interesting to them, because they have to learn, they have to understand how to read quarter notes, half notes, eighth notes, and stuff like that. But if they feel like, oh, I can play the triplets, why do I have to learn how to do this? You're setting not only your program back, but you're setting that kid back as well. That kid has to understand how to read that music from top to bottom and understand the language of music, because once you send them to the next level and they are with a college program, some of these college programs are not going to hold their hand and teach them basic music skills, especially if they're trying to get a scholarship. All right, because that should be the goal of a lot of students or a lot of music educators. If you have students that's in your band program, they are seniors, your goal should be trying to send them to college, either in a music program, to be a part of a music program, or they should be able to get a music scholarship to help them supplement the cost of whatever degree they're trying to pursue. And please explain to these kids that just because you have a music scholarship does not mean you have to be a music major. All right, it does not mean that. So yeah, if you arrangers are coming straight out of college, please be aware of that. Please be aware of that. I'm sure your stuff is really good. I'm sure your directors have taken time to help you, but you have to understand that the directors were helping you create music for that band and that band only. They were not teaching you how to make stock arrangements, as I call them, stock arrangements. So we've all know what stock arrangements are. Stock arrangements are arrangements that should be playable or be able to be played by most bands, depending on what level you are. Of course, you grade your music 1, 2, 3, 4, and based off what you think your kids can play, that's what music you play. To the next thing. Say you've graduated. Once you've graduated, if you haven't passed the praxis, you have to pass that praxis. Matter of fact, if you haven't passed that praxis, we're gonna sit and talk about that. If you haven't passed that praxis, that's the main thing you need to focus on. What I'll do is, if you have watched this video and you get to this point, if you need help with the praxis, just leave a comment below. Leave a comment below, and I'll shoot you a message asking for your email, and I'll email you what I use to pass the praxis. Now, what I'll do is the first 10 people that actually comment and like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, I'll send you what I use to pass the praxis for free. I'll send you all the links, anything I've used to study. I'll tell you what books I've used to study and all the other stuff. I'll send you that for free. After that, what I'll do is, if you want, I'll send you guys the links to the videos that definitely help with the listening portion of the praxis, help with a lot of the theory portion of the praxis, music history portion of the praxis. I'll send you links to those videos, and I'll make a special price for that. It'll be a discounted price for a little while, because I know this is the season where people are actually trying to get their stuff done. They're getting almost time for graduation, and they're trying to get them some jobs and being music educators. So make sure you like this video, comment praxis too, and I'll shoot you a DM, or I'll shoot you a message ask you for your email, and then I'll shoot you the information to your email. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Alright, so this practice test is what has kept a lot of people from being music educators. It has also caused a lot of people to leave the profession altogether. Now, I personally have taken the practice 8 times. 8 times. So do not let that deter you from being a music educator. So some of my things that I would suggest for taking that practice test is anytime you take the test, try to write down certain things that you didn't remember that were on the test, or something that stumped you. So at the end of the test, you know how, well, during the test they give you a pencil and a sheet of paper to write your notes on. Take notes of what questions you did not know. So once you are finished with the test, you can review those questions and kind of keep a mental note of what to look at. So when you go home, or when you get to the car, as soon as you look at your phone, you can say, okay, these are the questions I didn't know. Let me find the answer real quick. And then that way, when the next time you take the test, you will know those answers. Another thing about the test, a lot of the stuff is going to be repetitive. It's going to repeat. You're going to see it one time. If you take it a second time, you're going to see it a second time. If you take it the third time, you're going to see it the third time. So remember a lot of that stuff. But yeah, the test is very, very hard. Do not be discouraged about it. Just keep at it. Again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Put a comment, practice 2 info, and I'll make sure I hit you, shoot you an email or shoot you a DM to get your email, so I can email you the links and stuff that I use to pass the test. So the next thing, actually teaching. Some things that they don't teach you is kids are bad. Alright, you have to know how to handle kids. One thing I tell all new teachers, the best thing to do with classroom management is make sure you have a rapport with the kids, meaning you have to know the kids before you can kind of tell them really what to do. Your first month and a half of school, you're learning names. Kids are learning you. They're trying to figure out what they can get away with, what they can't get away with, if they can leave your class early, if they can't leave your class early, little things like that. They're trying to figure stuff out like that. So please be careful with that. All right, make sure you basically get to know the students before you try to tell them what to do. Also, your first day of school, make sure your veteran teacher is going to tell you this. Make sure you establish your classroom procedures, your rules and regulations, and then basically tell them who you really are. Don't, hi, my name is Mr. Such and Such, and I am from the... No, don't do that. Be yourself, because kids respect you for you rather than you being quote unquote their teacher. All right, a lot of these kids look at the teachers that they have become like a second parent to them, and a lot of those kids, once you open up to them and they open up to you and you can able to teach them right from wrong, they'll do pretty much anything you ask them. And that's also another thing they don't tell you. In this profession, my biggest issue with teaching is you get very, very, very attached to the students. You want to see them grow up to do great things. You're going to invest time with them. You're going to feed these kids. You're going to give them money. You're going to take them on trips. Especially if you're, once you become a band director, you might take them to Mardi Gras. You might take them to Six Flags. You might take them to this battle of bands, that battle of bands. You might do a whole bunch of stuff with them. You're going to do different things that they've never done before. And doing these things, you're going to spend so much time with these kids that you're going to develop relationships with these kids that it's going to be hard to break. It's going to be hard to draw a line sometimes between being a professional and being being a professional director and being someone that they can talk to. It's been times where I've had to physically take care of kids, and I've literally opened up my home to these kids. And you will find out that sometimes, yeah, these kids that you're teaching, they're acting out because they don't have certain things at home. So when you provide certain things for them, then they will in turn show their love to you, or they're basically, you'll see a change in them. Let's just say that when you invest into that child will invest in you. Because once you break down that barrier between them and they feel like they can trust you and they can really open up to you, then the students will really listen to you. Most of your bad students in your class, if you get them on your side, they will help you with their classroom management, because most of the time it's just them being funny, them being bored. So to combat that, make sure you know every student in your class. Make sure you can tell if him and Johnny are best friends, and if him and Johnny are best friends and they start checking each other, or they start joking with each other, and you hear them getting loud, you know that, hey, Johnny and Ronnie not gonna fight. All right, Johnny and Ronnie, they're just playing around right now. Okay. But you know, if Johnny and Marcus don't like each other, you hear Johnny and Marcus talking junk to each other, then you know right there and then there that you need to stop that conversation. You need to intervene in between that situation. You need to separate the students. You need to, figure out different ways to manage that classroom to get these kids to sit down so you can continue with your lesson. All right, that's the main thing to do, is keep order so you can continue with your lesson. All right, so that's my biggest thing. Make sure you establish your classroom management. Make sure you tell them your rules and regulations, and get to know the kids so that can help with your classroom management. Lastly, the logistics of the school. They don't tell you how to, once you go to college, they don't tell you how to do inventory. They don't tell you how your financial secretary is going to treat you. They don't tell you how you got to have all these meetings, how you're going to have to be a team lead, how you may not have, how you're going to have to do all these collaborations and stuff like that. They don't tell you all about all that stuff, okay? So be prepared to do a lot more than what you signed up for. Music teachers in general, we will do more than we signed up for, all right? Some teachers get paid for this extra time. You may get a stipend for doing just for being a band director, because they're expecting you to do concert band, symphonic band, and have all these after school rehearsals. They're expecting you to have a drum line. They're expecting you to do all this stuff. All right. Sometimes if you're at a school that don't have all that stuff, they're gonna ask you to do other duties. They're gonna ask you to maybe run a club. Maybe you're gonna have your morning duties, your afternoon duties. They may ask you to cover classes and stuff like that. So you may be the music teacher, but you may have to cover the Spanish class or the science class or something like that one day. These are things that you don't know, or they're not gonna tell you, that you're gonna have to work on, that you're gonna have to do. So that's where a lot of that understanding the kids and understanding how to manage classrooms is going to come into play, because you're not going to always have to worry about your classroom. So just to recap, I don't want to keep babbling because I can talk about this for hours. So just to recap, from start to finish, make sure you know what program, as far as college, you're getting yourself into, whether it's a music education program or is it just a regular bachelor's in music program. Understand what it takes for you to be fully certified in music. Understand what tests you're gonna have to take, what courses, as far as education courses, you may have to take if you did not have a music education degree, because most districts will have you sign up for courses to get certified to become a teacher in general. So you're gonna have to take teacher certification courses. Once you do all of that, if you decide to go to college and you figured out what college you're going to, make sure you focus on your piano courses, your theory courses. Make sure you pay attention in all your methods classes and your psychology classes, as far as your education courses. If you've graduated and you're fully certified, or if you haven't been fully certified, please work on getting fully certified. That is the bread and butter of everything. Then just from there, you're gonna have to make sure you collaborate with other teachers to help you with your classroom management. Make sure you understand the logistics of the building. Make sure you understand the logistics of the money that you're gonna have to handle, because music educators will have to handle money, because you have to take bus money if you're going on a trip, money for uniforms, money for t-shirts, money for anything. You're gonna deal with money. And I think that's pretty much it. The only other big thing I can think of is to keep a paper trail of everything you do. Remember, not every music educator in your district is going to be your friend. Band directors are politicians, and a lot of that stuff goes on. A lot of people won't tell you that. Make sure you have a comprehensive music program, because you just don't want to, I mean, some schools do marching band year round, some schools don't do marching band at all, some schools only focus on concert and symphonic band. But I will advise you to try to build a comprehensive music program by having jazz band, concert band, symphonic band, marching band, pet bands. Have as many ensembles as you can possibly have to give these kids the best musical experience possible. Otherwise than that, be yourself. Oh, the money. You're not gonna get paid. Music educators don't get paid. We don't get paid for having a master's degree if you're teaching K through 12. The only time you really start seeing a little bit of money is if you reach the collegiate level, and then the starting salary, I believe, is around $60,000 a year. And certain people, if you've been teaching high school for longer than that, for a long period of time, your salary has eventually went past that $60,000 a year. So you moving to the collegiate level is pointless at that point. If you're thinking about moving to collegiate level, make sure you go get your master's degree. I'm personally taking my master's degree online at University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I like it. It's a lot of research. I like it because it gives me time to work on other things and dedicate my time to other things rather than have to physically go to class every day for my master's degree. So I would advise that if you are interested in pursuing a master's degree, just go to the school that you feel like going to. I know Jackson State has a great music program. I met people from Alabama State program. There's a lot of programs online like Kent State University, University of North Carolina at Greensboro. University of Florida has a good program online as well. It's just a little expensive. But that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other things you guys want me to discuss or any questions, make sure you send a comment below. Otherwise than that, get at me. Peace.